Hi, my name is Greg Pyatt, and today we're visiting with Dr. Cox, who is running for State Superintendent of Public Instruction for Oklahoma. Glad you're with us.
Thank you.
We were visiting a few minutes ago, and you were telling us about where you grew up. Why don't you share with us?
Oh yeah, because it's really important to who I am. And I grew up in rural Stillwell, Oklahoma, and watched my mom and dad work 10, 12 hours a day running a restaurant there. And so I saw the hard work that they did. And most people don't know, but I'm from a very large family and a big teaching family, actually. I'm a first-generation college student out of my family. And, of course, I have a brother that is a retired superintendent, principal, teacher. And I have a brother-in-law who's a retired superintendent, principal, and teacher. Two of my sister-in-laws are teachers. And I also have another sister that's a retired teacher. So, we're just packed, and so that's why I know public education. Our family is public education, and really we got our start from being part of in public school system. So I just want to give back, and really that's why I'm here today, is just to give back.
Before we get into all the issues and different questions about that, what do you do for fun? What's your hobbies? What do you do with your family?
Well,
tell us about your family.
Rhonda and I have 5 children. And so, but we have 2 grandchildren, and so they're kind of the blessing that we have, and so we love going with them to the beach and playing in the ocean, and just hanging out with them, and so that's really the extent of our hobbies. But really we're pretty much full time when it comes to public schools and what we do and serve the state. So, but for fun, that's what we do. I just love to have little Brinley with me and having her sit on my lap and that's the blessing itself, and her and Marcus being there with me.
So you grew up in Stillwell. Where'd you go to college?
Well, actually, when I was a freshman in high school, my parents moved to the J. Disney area, and so I graduated high school there. And from there, I went to NEO A&M and received my Associate of Arts degree, and then went to Northeastern State University, where I majored, had a BS in mathematics, and then went on to earn a master's in counseling. And so from that point, started working on administrative classes. And to become a superintendent, at that time you had to have 39 hours above a master's degree. So I went ahead and did that and earned the education specialist from OSU. And then from that point on, I went to earn a doctorate from OSU in educational administration. So I not only have the experience, but the education that plays a major role in what this position should take in.
Obviously, one of the biggest aspects of public education is the classroom. How long were you a classroom teacher, if you were a classroom teacher?
Yeah, my very first years, 8 years, I was a classroom teacher, taught math, computer science, back when we had the old Tandy 1000s. And then coached girls athletics beginning, and coached at Wyandotte and Jay and Locust Grove. And that's then in my 9th year, I jumped into being a principal and superintendent. Have you enjoyed that? Absolutely. And I think just not only being a teacher, but being in the position of being a principal and at a small rural school, I'm able to play a part in people's lives. Not only the children that we have come through there, but people that we have relationships with. So I'm proud of our school family and where I'm at. And I think that's why I've been able to survive so long where I'm at, because this is my 25th year coming up there at PEGS. And so I think it's just being a part of that and really caring about our family, our community, and who we are. And so, it's been a great life, and they've treated me really well. I would think this last year was a pretty tough year in Oklahoma politically. Yeah. And what would be your thoughts about the problems that are, or the current conditions of public education in Oklahoma? I think we're really in a crisis mode. And I think that's why I've jumped out there now, because there's really no other reason for me to run for state superintendent except that I see that just like 4 years ago, there's that need to be out there and advocate for our schools. And so although we're in a crisis mode, I would have to say our teachers in our public schools are doing a great job with our children and preparing them for the future. Even though we have inadequate resources, the teacher pay hasn't been good, which you said that was the issue pretty much this year. But I was really proud of our teachers, because at the Capitol, their message wasn't so much about teacher pay, it was about funding public schools. because they could see beyond the salary and see that they didn't want their increases, their salary increases, on the backs of losing other teachers or on the backs of losing schools. And to protect children, their message really was, we need money for utilities, bus gas, air conditioners, all those different things that we have to have and pay for that we don't have the resources to do. And although we're gracious about the $33 million in textbook money, that's really only about $47 a child. And so in this time, usually a textbook is about $150 or so, approximately, per kid. And so you're already a third down. And so they have an understanding. And I think that's why I'm so proud of what teachers are doing with the Wildcat. It wasn't about them. It was about what can we do better for our children.
Speaking and thinking about the classroom teacher, and obviously the teacher pay this year was a significant issue, and the legislature worked on that. But what are the other issues or challenges that are facing the classroom teacher?
I think probably, and I mentioned a little bit about resources, about having supplies, and because teachers are actually taking out of pocket to take care of those things. If they see a need, they go and do it. And that's just what a teacher does. But what I'm concerned about is classroom size. And because in my experience, I know once you go past 22 children in a classroom, especially in elementary, it's almost like adding another class to that classroom. So you're teaching two classes. And if you just keep adding children to that, it just compounds the concern. So I think classroom size, and that's really what the cuts have done to us. Larger school systems have been able to reduce staff and be able to survive, but then they stack the kids in another classroom. And you just can't do an adequate job. And bless our teachers' hearts, they try so hard. You know, if you have 35 kids in a second grade classroom, I just can't imagine that. But that's happening across our state. And then not only is it an instruction problem, it's a safety problem, because you always are having to turn to show attention to one child. And so there's so many elements involved in that, but I really think classroom size is a major issue. And we talk about reforms. Well, they wanted reforms with this money. I say we already have reforms. But let's just put the money back in like the teachers are asking for so that we can go back to that classroom size. So that's pretty significant. And I really backed the House bill for the teacher pay raise and for the revenue that came through. That was important to me. Although I understood that it didn't have anything in there for operations and to hire new teachers to lower class size. So although that's a first step, I think we have to come back this next year and really show that that money is needed. And that's not going to be wasted, that it's going to go to help children.
You mentioned a minute ago safety. You're talking about the classroom.
Right.
With what's going on around the country right now, different areas, violence, the shootings.
Right.
What is the role of safety, school safety, with the Department of Education? What role would that play underneath your leadership?
Okay.
Well, is there a role for?
As a sitting superintendent, I would love for the State Department to be able to provide resources for us. And I keep saying the word resource, but professional development or a crisis intervention team, or, and come in and just be there as service. Not to come in and regulate what we're doing, but be there as support. And if my school had to go through that, or a neighboring school, that's what we do with each other, is we provide support. And we rely on the local people to make the decisions and drive the decisions. But I think State Department of Ed should be a support system. And if they can provide things, then that's what they need to be there for.
What about the areas of local control versus the state overreaching? Or is that a problem?
Well, it's still a problem, and it was a problem 4 years ago more so, and even now it's very regulatory. And from my position as a superintendent principal, I see those things. And even this year, I've been audited in 3 different areas. And really, I don't mind being audited because I think we need to be checked. But when you're randomly picked several times, you start to question those things. And what's the purpose of the State Department of Ed? And I just think State Department of Ed is there to come in and help and be someone you can call on. And if you need professional development in areas, and So I just think they need to be a service, and we just turned into more and more regulatory. And the other superintendents see that too, because we talk amongst each other, and we see that it's more and more that way. And we want it to be a relationship. If I'm in their state superintendent, my relationship with a school district is to come in and help. And if they need help or they ask for help. But also we have to be an overseer of money too, of funds, just to make sure that state funds are being spent appropriately.
Dr. Cox, what are your thoughts or your views on education savings accounts?
I don't agree with them at all. I'm against education savings accounts or vouchers. And I understood the need for the Lindsay Nicole Scholarship Fund, which is really a voucher system. And because that's a population that really needs to make sure that, we have a responsibility to take care of that population. But also from an administrative standpoint, understand as a school, if I had a child in that situation, I could already contract out with a private entity to help provide those services if I couldn't do that in my own school district. So the service is there. I just want to make sure that we spend the much needed money, much needed funds back into public ed and take care of it first. We haven't done that. We've just tried to find other solutions outside of public ed, and we're draining the funds that we have, the state aid funds, and giving them to other entities that we don't really know if they're viable or not. So I am against ESAs, but I want to make it very clear that we need to put the money towards public ed first.
So what's your vision, what's your plan maybe going forward with the State Department of Education?
Well, mostly I want to make sure that public schools across the state know that I'm there to help. And that's the main thing. But then also there's some key things that as a school sitting superintendent that I know needs to be done. And I would love to give back March and April as instruction time instead of test prepping time. And to do that, I would love to see us go more to formative testing. And so that way you can do pre-test and post-test with actually the tests that you already have and still have high accountability. But what we've come up with is a system that is really punitive. And so you take a one shot in April, and then, of course, this last time we got the test back 5 months later. They serve no purpose to what we do. And I want to bring back the purpose because we need to see immediate growth. A student needs to be able to take their post-test, and a teacher needs to be able to look at it and go, well, they didn't learn that as good as what I wanted them to, or I didn't teach that the way I should have taught it, and I want immediate feedback. And I think with technology how it is today, I think that is a really viable solution, is to have pre-test, post-test, and work that way. The other thing that I have great concerns about is testing our special needs children, because you can be an 8th grader but be on a 3rd grade level, and you still have to take the 8th grade test. And that 8th grader knows they're going to fail the test automatically. So what I want to do is use the IEP as it's supposed to be used, and use that as the accountability piece, and come back, and you can still measure their growth and where they're at in their IEP. And IEPs are built, really to gauge that student and for that specific student. And if it's not working, then the team's supposed to go back and fix it. So that's 2 areas, and the special needs area is really a passion of mine. The other one is in high school to really push for more flexibility for our students who aren't going to go to college. And as you may well know, around 75% do not go or finish college. So they need to go into an area of certification, and I want to give them opportunity to be able to go to career tech or to a mentorship program or something where they can earn a certificate before they get out of high school and go right into a well-paying job. So those are 3 areas I'm really focused on. The trades area is extremely important. And I've learned a lot from raising 5 children. All 5 are not college, I wouldn't say potential, but they're not college focused. 3 of them were. 2 of them needed to learn trades and learn an area that they loved. And it's not a bad thing to go into a trade, and I think we've really made it where it is a bad thing to say, I want to be a plumber, electrician, and mechanic. And we have to have those people. We have to have quality people in those areas. And actually, the good ones make a nice wage and a great living. And I think that's our job, is to prepare people to go into an area that they have interest in and give them opportunity. And so as state superintendent, I think that should be my focus, is to give opportunity.
This past year, professional educators worked with the state legislative leaders in the governor's office on the 60 and 6 plan,
Right.
which was our initiative to take a career classroom teacher to $60,000. Are you supportive of that? And if so, what would you do to help implement the final 3 steps of that plan, getting the career teacher to $60,000?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about that, because as you said, it'd be the last 3 years. I think we've got the first 3 steps on meeting that. But I think if a person, an 18-year-old, looks at going into college and they can see that, they can earn $60,000 potentially at the end of their career, then I think that would entice them to come into our profession. I really believe that $40,000 needs to be the beginning salary at least, and then move our way up that direction. But we need to take care of the ones from 10 to 20 years and even on up through 25 to 30. I'd actually like to see another 5 steps on there, because we have teachers that are working the additional 5 years. At my school, we make sure that we go ahead and give them that step after they get to 26 on up to 30, because I just think it's important that they're valued and they know that extra year of services is important to us. So I think as state superintendent, it is my job to go over and advocate at the Capitol for that and give reasons for it, and really be the motivator for that. I don't believe we've had that. And teachers were asking me at the Capitol, I said, well, what would you do? If you're going to be state superintendent, what would you do? And I said, I'm ashamed that you have to be here, that you're not allowed to be back in your classroom right now, because it's the job of the state superintendent to be over there to advocate for these pay raises. And that should have been done the last 3 years. But it wasn't done because it wasn't politically popular to do that. But I think it's so important that we move this direction. And I have to say, I'm really proud of my teachers, and because I talked to every one of them, and they wanted to make it clear to me that they got in the profession to help others and to help children, and that's what they're for. Yes, they would like to have some more money to pay their bills, but their primary reason for being a teacher was to help children. And I think that's the way it is all across the state. And when I saw teachers change their message at the Capitol to, it's about public education, it's not about me as a teacher, I thought that was so powerful.
What are the challenges that are facing the classroom teacher, aside from salary? What are the challenges that they see on a day in and day out basis as a classroom teacher?
I think more so is the overcrowding of our classrooms, more than anything. Because even if you're at a small school, we were blessed to have aides in each of our classrooms to help put another adult, another set of eyes in there, even if we had 25 in a room. But now you're talking 35 to 40 students and young children in one classroom with one adult. And to me, I just don't know how you do it. I think we really have to focus on, well, the pay raise getting to $60,000 will entice more to come into our profession and have more people. But I think we really need to focus our efforts on putting more money into education so we can hire those teachers to lower class size. That is a real challenge. And I just don't know how those teachers do that in the cities and the large systems. They're stacking them just so that they can survive.
Dr. Cox, we appreciate you being here today.
Absolutely.
As we've gone through this today, are you sitting here thinking, here's a question I wish they would have asked? Is there something like that you wish we'd asked you today?
Well, I think the most important thing is, why am I running? Why do I want to be state superintendent? And I would just have to say, it's not for the title, it's not for the office, it's not just so people can say, he's state superintendent. It's so that we can be out there to help. And really, and I know in the last election, she came after me very hard about what I made and in my small school. and who I was. But I'm really proud of who I am, and in the community that's taken care of me. PEGS has taken care of me. That local school board has taken care of me all these years. And they're my family. And so when I was attacked for that, I just took that really personal, because I have teachers there that love what we do. They love us and they take care of our kids. So she personally attacked all of us. So why am I running? It's because I need to get out there and take care of our schools. We can't have 4 more years of the last 7 that we just had. We can't do it. We can't afford to do it, because the national initiatives are coming in still into our state. Our current state superintendent is still advocating for the A through F single indicator grade card. She increased the test scores just like Janet Barisi did. And so my bubble kids, the kids that worked so hard to pass that test, 5 months later found out that they failed the test, because she increased it based upon national standards that were tied to Common Core. And so I take it very personal. I really wanted her to do a great job. I wanted Janet Barisi to do a great job. That way I could just continue there, retire at PEGS, work for PEGS in retirement, and play with my grandchildren. But I just see an absolute need to get out here and fight for what we have, fight for public schools. Keep the voucher systems, the national initiative to bring those in, and fund privates. It's going to be my job to get out there and really work hard. So why am I going to be state superintendent? Why do I want that? I just want it to be so I can be in the middle of everything, and so I can be the voice for Oklahoma. That's what I have. That's what we've been missing. And that's what I'm wanting to do.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you coming and visiting today. That's Dr. Cox, candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.